One of the most beloved comic strips of all time was certainly Peanuts. In one episode of many years ago, a group of the children are lying outside and staring up at the clouds. Lucy says, "Aren't the clouds beautiful? They look like big balls of cotton. I could just lie here all day and watch them drift by." If you use your imagination, you can see lots of things in the cloud formations. Then she turns to her little companion Linus and asks, "What do you think you see, Linus?" Linus, the intellectually inclined of the group, says, "Well, those clouds up there look to me like the map of British Honduras on the Caribbean. That cloud up there looks a little like the profile of Thomas Eakins, the famous painter and sculptor. And that group of clouds over there gives me the impression of the stoning of Stephen. I can see the Apostle Paul standing there to one side." Lucy just looks bewildered and says, "That's very good. What do you see, Charlie Brown?" And little Charlie says, "Well, I was going to say I saw a ducky and a horsey, but I changed my mind." The wonderful thing about gazing at the clouds is that it forces us to look up. Isn't that what religion is all about? What is it that we see when we gaze into the clouds? Or have we perhaps given up cloud gazing? Have we as adults become afraid of the dark clouds that enter into our life? Perhaps that is the biggest difference between a child and an adult. An adult is afraid of the clouds that come their way. A child gazes up at the clouds and imagines wonderful things. Dark clouds come sometimes in the form of sickness, sometimes in the form of pain or misfortune. The clouds of broken relationships can be particularly unpleasant. Then comes that big cloud, which for some reason seems so dark to many, the cloud of death. The only one that comes to every person born. It is also the one that seems to take us always by surprise. We are afraid of clouds. We're not alone in this. The apostles too, although they were afraid of the great light surrounding the transfigured Christ, they were even more terrified by the cloud. Many more clouds were to come their way. We can philosophize and console ourselves with trite words like, "Behind every cloud is a silver lining." But the inimitable Judy Garland put it much more realistically when she said, "Behind every cloud is another cloud." Must we be like the apostles, terrified by both the light and the cloud? Let us rather look to the Christ who shows his face in the most dazzling light as well as in the darkest cloud. The writer Leonard Lewis Levinson observed, "A pessimist sees only the dark side of the clouds and mopes. A philosopher sees both sides and shrugs. An optimist doesn't see the clouds at all. He's walking on them." Rather than fearing the clouds that inevitably come our way, let us rather face them, gaze into them, and we might be amazed at what we see. Do we see in them a castle in the sky, the map of British Honduras, or maybe even a ducky and a horsey? Let us look a little deeper into those clouds, and we will find that each has come into our life as a unique opportunity for us to grow, to understand ourselves a little more, to transport us a little closer to God. Let us become cloud gazers again and look bravely into those dark clouds, no matter how frightening they may at first appear. Let us see what images, what faces we find. In the end, we just might find that the face we have discovered there is our own.